Hey, T Zippers. Hey, 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 hey. Come on in, come on in. Come on in, come in, hitting the like button, please. Happy Friday night. Come on in. Please come in, hitting the like button. Hey, T Zippers. Come in. Please hit the like button. Happy Friday night, y'all. Happy Friday night, y'all. Hey, Belinda, Joe, Beverly, Cynthia, Inez. Y'all come on in, hit the like button for me. I greatly appreciate it.
The ultimate boxer shorts to stay fresh. Stop buying low-quality boxers and discover Box Hero bamboo boxers. The only boxers that don't roll up, don't squeeze, are super breathable, and last 3 times longer than ordinary boxers.
Hey, I guess them boxers was my time to cut it short. You know what I mean? Bamboo boxers. Yeah, no. So what it do? Well, baby, it looked like I needed some jazz. We needed to slow it down. We needed to chill for a minute. You know what I mean? And cause some things I wore is supposed to be over. Every Friday, for stock purposes and all of that they, Trump try to throw a little, layup, alley oop or whatever. And then we find out it's always a stunt. The week before, it was the staged assassination dinner. And baby, I got a glimpse of that, and that was so staged. I put it right here so we could see it right here. I think they have a whole video out there where you could see him going in, and security with a dog let him in. He didn't have a gun, and wherever he went, the room he went into, and got a gun. How you gonna do that? How you stage that out? I said, well, will you look at that? He goes into a room with no gun, no nothing. Security had a dog. The dog, I guess, was sniffing. The guy goes in, comes out, because I didn't see a red shirt going in, but I saw him running out with one on, or a tie or something. I said, man, these people are just, you let them get away with one, and Lord in heaven knows they gonna try it again. I mean, everything about him, everyone, his first term and this one have been nothing with poison and skits. Y'all see this? Let me show you. Let's go. Oh.
Went in.
Security.
Cop. With the dog. And go time.
Now he got a red shirt. Look at him waiting. Why he walk back? Why they going that way?
Fucking stupid, bro. They think we're fucking stupid.
Why they going? Why he look out? Why they running?
They're not even trying to hide this shit anymore. See, he went in. Cop. With the dog.
Dog cleared it.
And go time.
Is Trump back there? I thought it said Trump gave a signal.
They think we're fucking stupid, bro. They think we're fucking stupid.
Look at him, look out.
They're not even trying to hide this.
He goes in.
More. See, he went in.
The dog snips him out.
Cop.
Hurry up. He said, hurry up.
With the dog.
Something magically is something Trump. He gave the signal. I'm coming. I'm getting a gun. I know you lying.
And
okay.
Go time. They think we're fucking stupid, bro. They think we're fucking stupid. They're not even trying to hide this.
Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Baby, I'm like, whoa. This is crazy. They just staging stuff all over the place. So yeah, I hear that the war is over now. But Lord, I saw that they was asking for 5,000 troops from Germany. But I need for them to say pulling the troops from Iran. Well, we gonna dive into it. So listen, I enjoyed the jazz. I enjoyed oh boy praying for us in the morning. So I'm thinking let's hear what he say at night. Is that all right? Let's just hear it.
I'm praying over this person's Friday, May 1st. God, I pray that every blessing you have for them is for
Oh
them.
no, that's not the
What
one I
you
want.
have for them today is
That's not. That's the morning. I don't want the morning. I want the night.
My cake's on. Can I pray for your Thursday?
Where is it? No, I had it set.
My cake.
I must not have had it in the right
Can I
place.
pray for your month of May? Dear God, I'm praying over the person here with me right now. Lord, I pray that you would bless their entire month of May in every way possible. God, bless every part of their life this month, spiritually, mentally, physically,
Hi, Ronald, Seth.
financially, emotionally. God, go before them and make every crooked path straight. Move in their life in ways they've never seen before. Surprise them with your favor. Father, as they step into May, I pray for peace over their heart, clarity over their mind. Your word says in Philippians 4, verse 7, that your peace surpasses all understanding and will guard their heart and mind in Christ Jesus.
Yes.
So I declare peace over every anxious thought, every worry, every burden. Replace it, God, with calm, with confidence, and trust in you, Jesus. God, give them strength for every challenge that lies ahead of them. Your word says in Isaiah 41:10, do not fear, for I am with you. I will strengthen you and help you. So, Lord, when they feel weak, be their strength. When they feel tired, renew them. Let them rise up with new energy and endurance. I declare that this month will be filled with unexpected blessings, supernatural healings, and answered prayers. Your word says in Jeremiah 29:11 that you have plans to prosper them and not to harm them, plans to give them a hope and a future. I pray that this month they encounter you in a real and undeniable way. Fill them with your joy, your love, your goodness. Let your Holy Spirit rest on them and overflow within them. Your word says in Romans 15:13, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him. Let that be their portion this month. God, I pray over every goal they've set. Give them the discipline, focus, and strength to accomplish it. Your word says in Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Remind them daily that they are capable because you are with them. Restore relationships that need healing. Bring divine connections into their life. Open up new opportunities and place favor on them in places they never expected. Your word says in Psalm 5:12 that you surround the righteous with favor like a shield. So surround them with your favor everywhere they go. Protect them, Lord. Cover them with your presence. Your word says in Psalm 121:7 and 8 that you will keep them from all harm and watch over their life. Guard their steps, their decisions, their path. And God, remind them that everything is working together for their good. Even the things they don't understand, you are using for a greater purpose. Lord, let this month be better than the last. Let it be filled with growth, peace, joy, breakthrough. Guide them, bless them, and keep them close to you, Jesus. I pray all these things in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Have a blessed month of May. Can I
Have
pray
a
for your
blessed month of May.
Dear God, I'm praying over the...
A blessed month of May. Hold on. Let's just jump on in there, y'all. It's a lot going on. Briefing. Where did I put it? Let's go.
If you have watched me on this channel before, you know that I scream relentlessly, or I have screamed, I should say, about Donald Trump's very clear and obvious cognitive decline. And when we started talking about it here on Mockler Media, it was more of a kind of a subject you don't really talk about. Is it really cognitive decline? Is it not cognitive decline? But through this disastrous year and a half, it is so obvious that Donald Trump is facing very clear and obvious signs of cognitive decline. And he was just giving a speech in Florida. He actually might still be on stage as I make this video. And it was particularly bad. Okay, it was very bad. I want to walk you through a few of these clips because honestly, this is sometimes I say to myself, wow, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I talk so much about Trump cognitively declining, but I don't watch him enough. Maybe I watch too many selective clips. And so every once in a while, like today, I'll go on and I'll say, I'm going to watch Donald Trump for like 30 minutes speak. It's so much worse than the clips portray. You know how everyone's like, oh, that's just clipped out of context? If you watch this guy in full, it is so much worse than I'm going to show you, and that's really saying something. So let's hop right into it before we do. My name is Chris Maurer. I do a daily video here on the ADOLPH channel. It would mean a lot if you go right down below and check out my YouTube channel. Maybe throw me a subscribe. Check out my most recent video. It really helps me out. And obviously here on the ADOLPH channel, we're building something big to punch back against MAGA media every single day. I'm here once a day. Obviously, you see Adam and other people joining in. So make sure you like and subscribe. Maybe share the video. Goes a long way. Let's hop right into this. Take a listen to this.
And here in the Sunshine State, we've issued 2.5 million Florida seniors over $13 billion. Now think of that. Now, I don't happen to be a senior. I'm much younger than you. I'm a much younger man than you. Look at you old guys. Wouldn't you like to be my age? It's young, vital, vibrant. Now, I'm much, much younger than the people in this room, but I feel I can relate to you anyway. See, now the fake news will go tonight and they'll say, he's claiming to be younger than the people.
Watch this clown.
Hi, I'm John Walsh. Occasional joint pain doesn't have to.
What is going on right now? Okay, first of all, I don't know.
He's claiming to be younger than the people. You understand?
Does he think he a
What is
comedian?
going on right now? Okay, first of all, I don't know if anyone's laughing. I'm not laughing, but I wanted to start there because, like, this is what Donald Trump is focused on, by the way, while prices explode, while, you know, a war rages in Iran, while his administration faces the worst poll numbers we have seen of any administration maybe ever. I mean, it is catastrophic for Donald Trump right now amongst independents and even amongst Republicans right now, and he's just all over the place.
From Minnesota, all over California. When you see what we're coming up with in California, Gavin Newsom is not good.
Oh, Gavin's not good.
But he gave the worst interview a month ago. Did you see it? Where he said he was incompetent, he can't read, he can't write, he can't do it. He said he's horrible for testing. We should give him a cognitive test. I took 3 of them, aced all of them, by the way. You know, I'm the only president to take a cognitive test because I don't think Obama could pass it. I don't.
Oh.
Didn't he get into Harvard with a C average? I don't know. What's that? I don't think he could pass it. I don't think. Well, Biden is. Give me a break. You know, the first question is very easy. It's a lion, a giraffe, a bear, and a shark. They say, which one is the bear? And everybody says, oh, 30 questions. Everyone says very standard. It's a very standard test, but very tough around those last 10 questions. Not too many people, even in this very room, unlike Newsom, I'll say, this room of geniuses. He said, I'm in a room of dumb people. That was not good. That was not good. You know what happened to him after that? It wasn't a pretty, but I'm in a room of brilliant people, but a lot of you wouldn't have been able to answer those 10 questions. And when I got the score in the test, the doctor said, wow, I've never seen, you know, you have 5 doctors lined up, they're all over the place.
I mean, that was 1 minute and 32 seconds. I want you to imagine this exact rambling for literally 30 minutes, okay? I feel like the oxygen in my brain going away. I'm not even lying. It's painful to watch. Donald Trump here suggesting what his own supporters are dumb, are stupid. And by the way, I want to point out, this is the first White House ever that doesn't provide written transcripts. I think about this all the time. Written transcripts to the media. Every other administration, not most, every other administration will provide, you know, video and then a written transcript. And normally that's because if, let's say, somebody on Fox says, oh, listen to this video from Obama where he said X, Y, Z. You could pull up the written transcript if they're misciting it and say, no, that's not what Barack Obama said. We have the written transcript here as well as the video. But listening to that, imagine that written out. It's like it's It's, oh my God, the guy is a mess. And again, meanwhile, while all this is happening, while Donald Trump's ranting about passing a cognitive test, which that is a MOCA test, or MOCA, he's referring to a test to see if you have signs of Alzheimer's or dementia, which I will show you that test in a second. But I think he actually thinks it's a cognitive test. I have no idea. Qatar's gifted palace in the sky to go with his ballroom, triumphal arch, crypto billions, Middle East resort deals, corrupt pardons to donors, and an endless list of grifts and scams profiting off the president, saying King Donald ain't worried about the price of groceries or gas. This from today, the Wall Street Journal breaking.
He ain't worrying about none of that.
Will arrive this summer, combining Qatari royalty opulence with a $400 million security overhaul. Donald Trump has now tripled his net worth during this administration. Again, that is so, that should be, every single Democrat should be talking about that non-stop. While all of this happens, Donald Trump is getting so effing rich off the outward corruption. We've never seen anything like it. This was J.D. Pritzker talking about Donald Trump's mental state the other day. I thought this was kind of an interesting
Hey,
take.
Natural in New Orleans.
Like a lot of bullies, you know, if you push back on a bully, oftentimes they actually do take a step back. So that I can't explain because I don't understand. I think the man has dementia. I don't really understand how it works up there for him, but I can tell you that he doesn't seem to like me. He mentions me very often, and sometimes completely out of the blue. He's not talking about Illinois. He's not talking about Chicago. He just, somehow I pop up in his head and he wants to take after me.
Do you think he had dementia in the first term, or was that recent to this term?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Do you notice it more pronounced now?
Oh my goodness, this time it's much more pronounced. And I mean, from day one, in fact, during the campaign, I think I felt that. And again, I think it's kind of a sad state of affairs because someone who's suffering from dementia, I mean, they genuinely need help. And there's no one around him who wants to help him. All those people are just sycophants.
Check out the full episode on Tuesday, May.
Yeah, I think that was really well said, and I kind of like that lad. You can let me know in the comments down below. Like, obviously, I want people to be, like, push back on Donald Trump very hard. J.B. Pritzker has done a fantastic job of that, but also that angle of, like, it's not just ridiculous. It's not just horrible and dangerous for our country. It's also just, like, if you want to take this angle, saying, you know, to people like, to the median voter, like, it's just sad. Like, the dude has no, he should not be here. He should be, you know, someone should help him, but everyone around him doesn't care about him. They're all just getting rich. I don't know. Let me know what you think of that. And then from a political, like, take, maybe we all have different personal feelings about Donald J. Trump, but you know, from a political messaging standpoint. I can't play it here, but Donald Trump had a 60 Minutes interview where he's talking about how, you know, while the event happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, that he was asked if he fell down. A lot of people talking about how he fell down.
Yeah.
Him saying, no, I didn't fall.
Secret Service what? Secret Service what? They pushed you down? Man, stop lying. You got scared at the knees. Them cankers and jankers.
To get on the ground. Again, it's appearing by all metrics here, just kind of walking you through the last, you know, week or so, that Donald Trump fell here. And a lot of people have been talking about this. Again, you can let me know what you think, but it certainly doesn't look like Secret Service tells him to get down. That's him falling.
Yeah, you failed.
And then getting right back up. He said Secret Service told him to fall and, like, army crawl. Absolutely.
They wasn't talking to you. They were
getting
rushing.
Right back up. He said Secret Service told him to fall and, like,
that diaper was heavy.
That Donald Trump fell here. And a lot of people have been talking about
that
this. Again,
diaper was heavy.
But it certainly doesn't look like Secret Service tells him to get down.
Clunk.
That's him falling.
They all failed.
And then getting right back up. He said Secret Service told him to fall and, like, army crawl. Absolute absurdity. Let's go back to the speech today.
I just felt, and I put out yesterday a statement, I think anybody running...
Was that a fall, y'all? Or was that them knees? The fear. He got scared in them knees. Knees don't fail me now. Woo! Them everybody, he took everybody down, that heavy ass diaper.
So that Donald Trump fell here, and a lot of people have been talking about this. Again, you can let me know what you think, but it certainly doesn't look like Secret Service tells him to get down.
That diaper was heavy.
Him falling. and then getting right back up. He said Secret Service told him to fall, and like army crawl, absolute absurdity. Let's go back to the speech today.
I just felt, and I put out yesterday a statement, I think anybody running for president or vice president should be forced to take a cognitive examination. Right? I mean, you get a guy, he gets in, he's got a good line of crap, he gets in, and all of a sudden you're stuck with a man who's a moron. You know, this is not good. This is not good.
I think the irony
it's
there
not
is,
good.
Like, that's
it's not good that we are stuck with a moron.
This tweet sums it up well. Oh my God, no words imaginable for the lack of self-awareness here.
We are stuck with a moron.
Into existence
oh my God!
When he got elected,
I said, well, I do well on things, so let's do it. And I got everyone right. And these are tough questions. These are tough questions. You know, they say take a number, any number. Okay, I'll take 99. Multiply times 9. Okay, divide it by 3. Good. Add 4,293, that's good. Divide by 2, subtract 93, divide by 9, what is your answer? Now they go a little slower than that, but not much. I don't want to waste a lot of time. But there aren't a lot of people that get it right. I got it right.
Oh, Lord.
It was actually longer and more complex than that. But no, it's a tough test, so I took it. And then, everyone said, all right, good, he's smart. He's smart. It's not really smart. It's like, you know what we are, really? We have common sense. We're people with common sense.
I mean, like, again, any American should look at this and go, this guy is not well. And, again, lowest consumer confidence possibly ever in American history. It's very close to the lowest level of consumer confidence of all time. The slowest pace of hiring, not including COVID, in what, 25-ish years?
I don't know.
Inflation rising.
This was not
everything
funny,
is
y'all.
so expensive. Oil is so expensive.
That little hand got me.
And this guy is on a stage. I just showed you like 5 clips where all he's doing is talking about how amazing and smart he is. And like, it's unbelievable. And this is the test he's talking about, by the way, or at least a version of the test, this MOCA test, this cognitive assessment that assesses essentially if you have signs of Alzheimer's or dementia. And he believes this is an IQ test, but when you heard him talking about like the animals, they say, I don't know, like lion, bear,
he
whatever.
passed
like,
it. I mean, he's sick in the head.
And you select which one, the camel or the lion or whatever, right? And so like, sometimes I just cannot believe that this is the president, and more, like, I'm convinced if every American was forced to watch Donald Trump from start to finish,
he said I passed it. I passed it.
I truly do believe that.
I aced
People
it.
just aren't watching this guy. It's unbelievable. You gotta let me know what you think of all this in the comments down below. I really, really appreciate you watching this video.
Man.
Here on the Adam Mocker channel. Once again, my name is Chris Mowry. I do a daily video here, so make sure you hit subscribe and like it down below on both this channel.
Okay, where's my next one? Where is... Oh, wow. He is just sick in the head. I don't know. How did we get here? How did we get here? Let me get to... Oh, boy. Hold on. I thought I had it in order in which I wanted to go. I think I got a system, y'all. Hit the like button. It's over. It's over. Psychotic meltdown. Let's go. It's mental. It's mental, and we are suffering.
Late night meltdown of epic proportions. He gave what may have been one of his worst speeches yet. Now, earlier in the day, he spoke at the Villages in Florida to a group of senior citizens at a small high school. And then in the evening, he spoke at a place called the Forum Club, which is supposed to be a nonpartisan organization. Clearly, Donald Trump injected not only partisanship, but deranged behavior befitting of a straitjacket that needs to be put on him immediately. I want to show you this meltdown that he had during, again, what may be one of his worst speeches yet, and that's saying a lot. So Donald Trump starts by bragging about how the United States Navy has essentially now become pirates, and that we use
and
the
hide
Navy
the key
to
just
take over the ships of Iranians and others, and take over cargo ships and steal all of the produce and steal all of the stuff that's on the ships. Here, play this clip.
And Think of your liver like a mailroom. Everything that goes into your body, yep, everything gets filtered through your liver.
There was no response. Turn your ship around.
Oh, here we go.
Evacuate your engine room.
Now he's starting to he's starting to Okay, hold on, let's go.
Stuff that's on the ships. Here, play this clip.
And there was no response. Turn your ship around.
Ship.
Evacuate your engine room immediately. And you see all these guys running out of it. Now, they're 5 miles away, and one shot into the engine room, blew up the engine room. The ship stopped. They used tugboats, and then we landed on top of it. On top of everything else, we then land on top of it, and we took over the ship. We took over the cargo, took over the oil. It's a very profitable business. Who would have thought we were doing that? We're like pirates. We're sort of like pirates.
Stealing. He admitted it.
But we're not playing games because, you know,
Stealing.
For 47 years, Iran has been pushing everybody around.
Then Donald Trump talks about how he wasn't even familiar with how the PGA Tour was going at his Doral Miami Golf Club because the Iranians keep on calling him. And he goes, I just can't even focus because the Iranians just keep on calling me and they want to negotiate. And I keep saying, guys, I don't want to negotiate with you. I mean, he's making all of this up. And also the PGA event at his Doral Golf Club is being attended by like no one. It is the worst attended PGA tournament in the entire history of the PGA. I did a whole video on that. I'll do another one in the morning, but just play this clip where he makes up that he's just so busy with Iranians calling him all the time. Nobody is calling him. Here, play this clip.
So you'll be all very happy. And, you know, it's right now I own Doral, and right now we have a tournament. I'm so busy. And we have the big Cadillac Championship going on, all the great players of the PGA Tour. And they're there, and yesterday somebody came up, said, sir, the tournament is great. I said, what tournament are you talking about? I'm so busy with the Iranians calling, trying to make a good deal, and we're not going to let that happen. But they've got to make a bad deal. But if they make a deal at all, because frankly, maybe we're better off not making a deal at all. Do you want to know the truth? Because we can't let this thing go on. Been going on too long.
Then Donald Trump talks about Gettysburg, and Trump's view of the Civil War is that Robert E. Lee was this heroic character.
Like a really
and
bad
Robert
video
E. Lee
game.
said, never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight up the hill, me boys.
You could have what? What?
Robert E. Lee never said, never fight uphill, me boys. This is a made-up thing that never happened. But also Donald Trump somehow situates Robert E. Lee as the good guy and the hero in his story. But I guess that's befitting of Donald Trump. We're playing this clip.
They heard they were going up a hill, Harvey, just going up a hill. Robert E. Lee heard that. Stonewall Jackson was killed as great general, and so he didn't have him. He had another general, and they were going up, and he sent 5 messengers on 5 horses, hoping that one would get through because they were all being shot. It was a bloodbath, and it was never fight uphill, me boys, never fight uphill. He fought uphill, and they just got wiped out. But that whole, to me, the Robert E. Lee era with Ulysses S. Grant, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, to me, that is such an amazing, you can learn so much from it, but it was such an amazing time.
Then Donald Trump continued to talk about Iran. I mean, this is some deranged stuff. I mean, we're all watching what I'm watching. Then Donald Trump talks more about Iran, and he's like, when you look at the Strait of Hormuz, it's so curvaceous. You see the curves on that? What in the world is going on here? He's doing the shape that he drew for Epstein's 50th birthday card. Play this clip.
Of what's happening in the world, and when you look at the Hormuz Strait and you see all of those ships, all of those people and ships that they want to get out or they want to get in, they're all over the place. They're like little ants, right? They look like a little anthill. And hundreds and hundreds of ships. And we have a Navy that is unbelievable. We put up, it's a blockade. It's a blockade. And you saw the other day where a massive tanker, this was bigger than 2 million barrels. A massive tanker was trying to run it, and the young captain of the ship from Annapolis, these guys are like central casting. You could put You could put him in. I'd say something about Tom Cruise. I was going to say better looking than Tom Cruise and taller, but I'm not going to do that because he's a friend of mine. I can't do that.
And then Donald Trump's like, when we bring our aircraft carriers back from Iran, like the USS Lincoln, then we're going to take over Cuba. Cuba's next. We're taking it over. Donald Trump just casually talking about conquering Cuba. Here, play this clip.
An architect who's really talented. He's done a lot of work for him. He's got a flair, a beautiful Hispanic flair in particular. And he comes from originally a place called Cuba, which we will be taking over almost immediately. No, Cuba's got problems. We'll finish one first. I like to finish the job. On the way back from on the way back from Iran, we'll have one of our big, maybe the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier, the biggest in the world. We'll have that come in, stop about 100 yards offshore, and they'll say, "Thank you very much, we give up."
Then Donald Trump talks about Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, and he says that she's beautiful, she's fine. He said she's beautiful, she's fine, and she's got this beautiful voice, he says, and she goes, "Mr. President, I mean, this is some really like deranged straitjacket stuff. I'm not exaggerating what he says here. This is what his view of the president of Mexico is. Here, play this clip.
And now it's the Gulf of America. And the president of Mexico called me. He's not too fond of me anymore, but when she heard about it, it was put in some paper. Somebody leaked it someplace always. You always have leaks. When you're in my world, leaks are a part of life. And it was leaked that I was going to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And she's a beautiful woman, a very nice, I never like to talk about beauty because it's usually the end of a political career. If you say somebody's a beautiful woman, they say, what a terrible, terrible thing. Everybody hates it except the woman that you're talking about. They love it. So I won't say she's a beautiful woman, but she's a fine woman. And she is. And she's got this incredible, beautiful voice, elegant voice. She was a ballet dancer. She's got this beautiful voice. And she goes, President, no, President, tell me, you're only kidding. You're not going to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. Yes, I am. I'm sorry. No, please. Anyway, so they don't love me too much in Mexico right now, That's why guys like me are in a lot of danger, consequential people get in a lot of danger. You know what I'm talking about?
Then he says, Mar-a-Lago is the hottest club around. Object, he goes, it's the hottest club, and we bring hundreds, if not thousands of travelers, and hundreds of jobs are created in Mar-a-Lago. It's the hottest thing there is. Here, play this clip.
But not only have we lovingly restored they call it the crown jewel of Palm Beach, Mar-a-Lago, but we turned it into what everybody acknowledges. It's the hottest club anywhere in the world. I mean, I hate to say it about my club, but it is truly everybody that's been there. It's the hottest club anywhere in the world. And very importantly, it creates hundreds of jobs and brings thousands of travelers here each year. And then we have all the weddings and all the conventions and the events that we have there are spectacular. And they say it's raised more money as a ballroom. It's raised more money than any other ballroom anywhere in the world for charity. We raise tremendous money for charity. It's
then he continues to talk about the Civil War, but he again has a very deranged view of what happened. And so again, Robert E. Lee's like his hero in the story. The Confederates are his hero in the story. And he's like, I could have settled the Civil War in one day.
Somebody's a beautiful woman. They say, what a terrible, terrible thing. Everybody hates it except the woman that you're talking about. They love it. So I won't say she's a beautiful woman, but she's a fine woman.
Fine. He says she's fine.
And she's got this incredible, beautiful voice, elegant voice. She was a ballet dancer. She's got this beautiful voice. And she goes, President, no, President, tell me, you're only kidding. You're not going to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. Yes, I am. I'm sorry. No, please. Anyway, so they don't love me too much in Mexico right now, That's why guys like me are in a lot of danger, consequential people get in a lot of danger. You know what I'm talking about?
Then he says, Mar-a-Lago is the hottest club around. Object, he goes, it's the hottest club, and we bring hundreds, if not thousands of travelers, and hundreds of jobs are created in Mar-a-Lago. It's the hottest thing there is. Play this clip.
But not only have we lovingly restored they call it the crown jewel of Palm Beach, Mar-a-Lago, but we turned it into what everybody acknowledges. It's the hottest club anywhere in the world. I mean,
Nothing about
I
the
hate to
people
say
or
it
the
about my
war.
club, but it is truly everybody that's been there. It's the hottest club anywhere in the world. And very importantly, it creates hundreds of jobs and brings thousands of travelers here each year.
Nope.
Then we have all the weddings and all the conventions and the events that we have.
And that's
They're
why they can
spectacular.
seize
And
it. Oh,
they say it's
I
raised more
forgot.
money as
He gave
as
that,
a ballroom. It's raised more money than any
that
other
bond.
ballroom anywhere in the world for charity. We raise tremendous money for charity. It's
Then he continues to talk about the Civil War, but he again has a very deranged view of what happened. And so again, Robert E. Lee's like his hero in the story. The Confederates are his hero in the story. And he's like, I could have settled the Civil War. One day I would have settled the thing. Here, play this clip.
actually a lot of you, but it's not that much. And so we made it 1776. It's just special. I mean, the whole place, it's a special country. But when you look at some of the movies and documentaries about the founding of our country and all of the great people, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Lincoln later, but Thomas Jefferson, all of the original founders, and some of the ones that are least known are actually the most important. Me. Most interesting, actually. But when you look at all, then you have
let's talk about
the Civil War. The Civil War was brutal. It was a brutal. I always said, why couldn't that have been settled? And maybe it could have been, but it was a brutal war. It was supposed to last one day, and because Robert E. Lee was an amazing general. You know, I deal with generals a lot. And I ask, who was the best general? A lot of them say Robert E. Lee, because he took something that was supposed to end in one day, and it went 4 years. And with the exception of Gettysburg, that was not good. That was not a good one. It was not a good day for him, but that didn't happen. He would have actually won. They were going for New York, and they heard they were going up a hill, Harvey, just going up a hill. Robert E. Lee heard that. Stonewall Jackson was killed as great general. And
it's very telling, though, when you think about what he just said.
He is crazy.
Right? He said that basically Robert E. Lee was so courageous that he dragged out the Civil War for 4 years when it could have been settled in a day. It gives you a window into Donald Trump's mind, though, right? Does Donald Trump think that this is what we should be doing with Iran, just extending it out for 4 years? And then Donald Trump says that when the Queen walked into the Oval Office, she was like, whoa, what a great Oval Office. Here, play this clip.
It's nice to be given good credit when you do things that are good. And I guess sometimes they'll say they don't give me enough credit, and then I'll be in the Oval Office. It's beautiful, most powerful, most incredible office in the world. People walk in and they say, wow, the biggest people in the world. Even the Queen the other day, she walked in with King Charles, Camilla. She said, wow, this is the Oval
Now, who
Office.
thought that it was, oh my
Of
God.
England says that, that's very cool. But people do, the biggest business people, the biggest politicians. And, you know, it's an amazing place, and we keep it well. We fix it. One of the nice parts about being in real estate, I give it the Mar-a-Lago treatment. We fix Mar-a-Lago. We make it better than it's ever been. It's better than it was the day it was built.
Then Donald Trump says, you know, the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting was a good thing because now I get my ballroom. And people said, wow, you need your ballroom. So it was a good thing. Again, more red flags here, and more questions should be raised about what actually happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, because there are so many red flags, and he's saying it's a good thing. And by the way, regardless of what happened or didn't happen, if they behave like maniacs like this, Trump and his regime, about it, you don't get sympathy. You don't get sympathy from us. This is how you're bragging about ballrooms. Here, play this clip.
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. No, please. Anyway, so they don't love me too much in Mexico right now, you know. That's why guys like me are in a lot of danger, you know. Consequential people get in a lot of danger. You know what I'm talking about? Saturday night, it was good for one thing. People are loving my ballroom now. That's the only thing. They love my ballroom.
It ain't your ballroom, it's ours.
They love my ballroom.
Nope.
It's going to be the best in the world, although I like the one at Mar-a-Lago very much too, Mayor.
Then Donald Trump says he never wanted a dog. Play this clip.
And that's good. That usually is very good for votes. I was never as much, you know, they all wanted me to buy a dog when I went to the White House. They said, sir, you'll be the first president in 68 years or something that doesn't have a dog. I said, It's not going to work for me. No, they like pictures of like Biden walking his dog all that, but his dog was a vicious dog, kept biting our Secret Service people. No, we had 28 bite problems. 28. This was a violent dog.
Word documents. That's it. I format them, upload them to Amazon, and
This man's
collect
sick.
royalties every month. No.
That's not a dog I'd want. But for 60 years, I guess, even longer, every president's had a dog because they do it for votes. Some of them do it because they love the dog. Probably most of them do it for votes. And I thought it would look quite fake. Like the fake news, it was quite fake. Can you imagine Donald Trump has purchased a lovely, lovely little poodle? And he walks him religiously every day in the White House grounds as he's inspecting the ballroom that's going up. They walk deep down into a foundation that's going down to China. There's a lot of stuff going on in that foundation, let me tell you. A friend of mine said, boy, that's the deepest foundation I've ever seen for a ballroom. I said, yeah, a lot of things happening there. But we have several friends of mine that were great with us.
And then he says that, more on Iran, he says, they call it a military operation because if I say it's a war, then I have to follow the law. But if I just call it an operation, then I don't have to follow the law.
Wow.
This clip.
It hit one yesterday, hit one the day before, during what they call a military operation. You know, they don't like the word war. And they call it a military operation because that way you don't have a war, you don't have legal problems.
More on the Gulf of Mexico,
Deadline
which he
was
says,
today,
and I always wanted to call it
yesterday.
Gulf of America. Play this clip.
In other countries, you know, believe it or not, Mexico, who does not like me after the change of the name to the Gulf of America, the president called me up, this is 6 months ago. You know, we have 92% of the waterfront. They have 8%. And I always wondered, why is it the Gulf of Mexico? For a long time, even looking as a kid, I said, well, Gulf of Mexico, it's such a powerful name, it's such a powerful thing, the Gulf of Mexico, but it should be the Gulf of America. I mean, I'll say it only within the confines of this room because I know there's a lot of fake news back there. Within the confines of this room, Mayor, you're not going to tell anybody, please? I was thinking about seriously calling it the Gulf of Trump, but I really was, but I was told by some very wise people, please don't do this. That's what I don't think would have worked. What do you think?
Then he talks about his weaponized and unlawful prosecution of James Comey. It's like all these crazy people. How is James Comey doing these days? Let's play this clip.
And now I say it's not even close. These politicians are ruthless, vicious. They are liars, unlike our people from our great town council. But these are vicious people. I mean, what I see, Shifty Schiff, all these crazy people that we have to deal with, think of it. Comey, how's he doing?
And I'll just read for you what the Forum Club is supposed to be, just so you can see for yourself. This is from the Forum Club website. As a nonprofit organization, the Forum Club of Palm Beach is Florida's largest nonpartisan political and public affairs organization. Since 1976, when President Jimmy Carter served as its inaugural speaker, the Forum Club has hosted a majority of U.S. Supreme Court justices and a variety of thought leaders whose words and actions affect the world in which we live. Well, I guess if it's affect the world in which we live, Donald Trump does affect the world in which we live. He utterly destroys it. That was the most pathetic speech I think I've ever seen in my whole damn life. Tell me what you think. Now hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thanks for...
I thought I had the one where he was doing something cray. Let me see. That's that. Let me come down here. That's what it is. Can I get y'all to hit the like button?
I mean, isn't it?
Can I get y'all to hit the like button? Double tap the face of your screen. I don't like how... Lord, I almost said, I don't like how that woman look. She kind of manly. Double tap the face of your screen and hit those 3 dots at the top right corner. Please. Up there in that corner, up there. I just tap him on his forehead. Get the lights up. No puppy would like him. Probably go to the restroom on him.
We've already won, but I want to win by a bigger margin. But we have destroyed their Navy, destroyed their Air Force, destroyed all of their, if you look at their anti-aircraft equipment, their radar equipment, their leadership is destroyed. We've destroyed everything. If we leave right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild if they ever could rebuild. But it's actually not good enough.
Except Trump pretend.
I've already won. I've won everything. I just want to destroy a little bit more.
Really, come on. Which boomer still believes this guy?
I won everything. I just want to destroy a little bit more.
Really, come on. Which boomer still believes this guy? I mean, well, you have to be really out of your... Really, come on. Which boomer still believes this guy?
One more time.
It's actually not good enough.
Oh, I went back too far. Okay.
I've already won. I've won everything. I just want to destroy a little bit more.
Really, come on. Which boomer still believes this guy? I mean, well, you have to be really out of your damn mind to believe
But he got the hands down, Pat.
Come on. Which boomer still believes this guy? I mean,
No.
really,
And
come
the
on.
mouth.
Which boomer still believes this guy? I mean, well, you have to be really out of your damn mind to believe anything he said. So, no, we haven't destroyed all their Navy. That's why they keep planting mines in the Strait of Hormuz, and that's why it's not open. 2/3 of their Air Force is still intact, which is shocking, and all that leaked by his own vice president. But the main question is, why is Donald Trump at this point, and this is a very important point, pretending that the war is over when it is nowhere near over? In fact, he just rejected a peace plan by Iran. So, John, tell us all about it.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be followed up by another one soon. After all, the Iranians are so desperate to end this thing. But yeah, there's multiple reasons really why Donald Trump is lying in the way that he is. There's the copium that he's been doing for quite some time, but we're also about to hit a special date. So according to CNN, the war in Iran, which Donald Trump, of course, started without getting approval from Congress, without even apparently letting Congress know that he was about to start an incredibly consequential and expensive and stupid war, it's about to hit its 60th day, or did. Today. I guess we're in the 60th day today. So why is that important? Well, first of all, it's important because they told you on day one that it would take 2 to 3 weeks. So never forget that they've been lying to you about the timeline from the very beginning. But it's also important because of the law. Under the War Powers Act of 1973, the president has 60 days to conduct military action in response to an imminent threat or an attack on the United States if Congress has not voted to authorize a war. Without explicit congressional authorization, the law says that once that deadline is reached, the president, quote, shall terminate any use of the United States armed forces. And to be clear, this 60-day time frame is based on when Trump notified Congress of the hostilities. So it's a couple little interesting notes about that. First, though, the text of the law. The president must notify Congress within 48 hours of introducing the armed forces into hostilities and explain the scope, justification, and likely duration of the effort. In his notification to Congress about Iran, Trump, like other presidents, said he committed troops under a president's inherent authority in the Constitution to conduct United States foreign relations. A purposeful misreading of the Constitution, which clearly makes the legislature in control of military action. They've just taken that power for themselves. So when should the clock have started? Well, some are saying it should have started on February 28th when the hostilities actually started. You could say it's 2 days after that, but either way, we're at the 60-day mark right now. Now, interestingly, it says that he was supposed to initially explain the scope, justification, and likely duration. He has not really done that to this point. It's been 2 months. He keeps changing what the scope and the purpose of all of this is. And also bear in mind, the reason for him to be able to briefly use the military without going to Congress is because of an imminent threat or attack on the United States, which of course never existed in the first place. So I think a case could easily be made that he's been in violation of the War Powers Act from the very beginning, both the intent and the letter of the law. But he also appears to be violating the incredibly lenient 60-day
Mark, did you hit the like button coming in?
Given. So what's going to be done about it? Well, lawmakers are debating. Some lawmakers say, okay, so if Friday, May 1st was the 60th day, then maybe we should do something. Some Senate Republicans argue that should mark a, quote, inflection point when Congress must step in.
I greatly
oh boy, I'm sure
appreciate
they're
it.
ready to use all that great power they have in the Senate. They've been so deferential. Remember, they rejected an opportunity to require Trump to come before them before hostilities against Cuba. So they have a terminal case of not wanting to do just about anything these days. But anyway, let's talk now about the ceasefire that supposedly is going on right now. So they're claiming that pauses the timeline or resets the timeline or something like that. And there are a few issues with that. So the first is Bruce Fein, a U.S. constitutional and international law expert and former Associate Deputy Attorney General, said the resolution, the War Powers Act, never says anywhere that the 60-day deadline to receive congressional approval for military action stops if there's a ceasefire. He warned that such an interpretation turns the resolution into simply a paper tiger. Ironically, I think it would be just the latest reason that it's just a paper tiger, like we've literally never used it to stop a conflict. But he is right that nowhere in the law says that you can just stop it with a ceasefire. What he could also make the case that we barely have a ceasefire. We're still blockading them, which is an act of war. They're still blockading the Strait of Hormuz, which is an act of war. We've seized ships, they've seized ships. What part of this seems like peace has been achieved in our time? But this seems to be a compelling argument to some of the dumbest people in America, like Donald Trump, but also Pete Hegseth. Take a look.
We're right at the 60-day deadline. Is the president intending to either seek congressional authorization for the war in Iran or send us the legally required certification that he needs an additional 30 days to remove U.S. forces from the war?
Ultimately, I would defer to the White House and White House counsel on that. However, we are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops in a ceasefire. They're not in. Yeah. It's our understanding, just so you know.
Okay, well, I do not believe the statute would support that. I think the 60 days runs maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, to be clear, that is not Pete Hegseth's understanding. That's Pete Hegseth's intentional performative misunderstanding of what the law says. But that is the position of the administration.
Look, one of the biggest problems with political media right now
whole
isn't just
administration.
bias. It's how quickly the same story gets spun into two completely different realities depending on who's telling it. That's why I recommend ground.
This was their stance. But to be clear, Mike Johnson already was interviewed earlier today, and he said the same thing. The war is over. They're saying hostilities have terminated, even though they haven't. Cenk, what do you think?
Hi,
just
Anna. Thanks
constantly
for this question.
lying
If you're
in
just catching up on
our
this
face,
video, my name is
like,
Laura. I practice East Asian medicine. I'm 51 years old. We're talking about castor oil, and I talked about how.
Yeah, okay, so let's just skip all the lies. Like, is he in violation of the War Powers Act? Of course. Is the war illegal? Of course. Is it unconstitutional for the president to go to war without a declaration of war? Of course. Is he past the 60 days now? Of course. Oh, we stopped counting when Roseanne got taken off the air because we thought that was unfair. Okay, like none of that makes any sense. Okay, so that's kind of obvious. To me, the real questions are twofold, John. So number one is I'm back to I don't know what's going to happen. We have to leave the war, and this is how you do it. You just come home, okay?
Come home.
Just make like the simplest.
Get you guys and ladies and come home,
right? So I mean, Trump's gonna pretend he cares, but it's an easy way to get past that. Here, I'll give Trump rare helpful advice for him. Just make a crappy deal and then lie about it, and just tell all the the Fox News viewers, the whatever fans you have left, right? Oh, yeah, we won greatly in Iran. We made them open up the Strait of Hormuz. Like, they won't know that it wasn't closed before. Sean Hannity never told them. Right? So, come home. That's also super clear, and he's got to do it. But is he going to? And I don't know. I mean, this has become one of the big mysteries. Like, I was convinced last week, Anna got me to believe for good, logical, empirical reasons and the data we had at that point. No, we're going back in, right? Now I'm like, Trump really seems kind of desperate to avoid it because it will be an economic disaster and it will totally obliterate his administration if it isn't already obliterated. So there's like, if you're looking at it strictly from a Trump perspective, let alone an American perspective, you would have to be beyond crazy, beyond emotionally and psychologically disturbed to go back into this war. Because guys, one last thing that's important about that, so you understand the context, he's kept the market together with duct tape by like every day coming out and going, it's almost over. No, oil prices go down. They shout, don't worry, the oil's totally fine. The war's fine, everything, peace is booming everywhere. I'm a hippie now. I'm hanging out with Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield, and we're in Woodstock. Like, and the markets are like, okay, bro, okay, yeah, we believe you. But if it turns out we go back to bombing, then they're gonna go, oh, okay, and the market's gonna crash, and all those things are gonna happen, and way worse than he even anticipates. So then the question remains that's left. If that's not a question, what is? Is he fully and utterly controlled by Israel? Do they have blackmail on him? Because that's the only reason to go back in. Period. Right? So if we don't go back in, hey, maybe they didn't have the blackmail, and maybe he was just an idiot and got talked into it by the Israelis plus the bribes and all that stuff. But thank God they don't have the blackmail. Let's get the hell out of there, right? If he does go back in, they definitely have the blackmail. And then economic calamity will ensue. So the second part, John, is, of course, how it's affecting his own voters. So Democrats were never in question. He never had any of them, never going to get any of them. Independents, bye-bye, right, gone. 70% of them are against the war, 61% of the whole country. Not just against the war, say the war was a mistake, okay? And it's at Iraq, at the height of the violence in mid-2006, when the Republicans got shellacked in the midterms and everybody's furious with the Iraq war, 59% of Americans thought the Iraq war was a mistake. 2 months in, we're already at 61%, a higher number in Iran. But now let's dive into his own voters, because I hear all over the internet and TV, oh, he hasn't lost a single MAGA voter. So, he hasn't lost a... So not one Trump voter. They're all in a cult. Okay, let's go to graphic 10. Among younger supporters, just 57% of Trump voters under 35 now approve of his job performance, marking a major drop from the near universal support he enjoyed among his coalition at the beginning of his term. Okay, the drop is a whopping 35 points from 92% approval rating he enjoyed among his youngest voters at the start of 2025. On the other hand, he's still hanging on to the over 50 voters, but even there's some erosion there. 87% of Trump voters ages 50 and older still approve of his performance. So, but on the war, only 79% of the over 50 approve of the performance. So on the war, he's even lost 20% of the zombies. They're like, Sean Hannity says it's a great idea, but I'm paying so much more for everything. I don't know. And we said no war, but Gutfeld says we should do war. I don't know. So like 20% of those guys are against the war, which for Trump and his older base is still a remarkable number. But as Harry Enten would say, you lost 35 points among your younger voters. It's going down.
Down.
Yeah, that's falling off a cliff. So has he lost some of his own voters? Yeah, betcha.
Yeah. The question is, how much does he care, or does he ever care? I mean, he does wildly unpopular things that even a dullard would know would lose him support. He doesn't seem to be bothered by it. And he and the Republicans seem to have made the decision a long time ago that to the extent that they care about the electoral ramifications of any of this, the only thing that they are willing to try to do to offset the damage they're doing is to manipulate the system, rig things, gerrymander, get the SCOTUS to rule on their behalf. They don't really seem to be even trying to sell anything to the people. So I'm very concerned about that. I don't rule out the potential motivations that you sketched out for why he might go back into Iran, but I also don't think that they're the only potential explanations. I mean, you see all these insider accounts coming from inside the administration by senior administration officials that he is talking about himself like he's Homelander, saying, I'm the most powerful person who has ever lived. I will craft the future with just my will. I can do and accomplish anything. He's out of his mind, Cenk. Like, it was very stupid to start this war to begin with. It was stupider to continue it. And to go back in would be madness, economic madness. But remember, it was stupid to start the tariffs when he did.
I need for y'all to hit the like button.
Massive damage. Then the Supreme Court swept in and said, you know what, actually, let us save you here. The tariffs are gone. And rather than take that, he put them back in another form. His approval rating on inflation was so bad that I don't know if you saw it. It was one of the cable news networks had to create a new graph for it because his approval rating didn't fit on the prior one. So he is willing to double down on wildly unpopular moves for seemingly no reason. But let's talk about this one, because hypothetically the Senate could get involved. One would say they have an obligation, a responsibility to get involved. That is their constitutional role. They were reminded of that with the War Powers Act, but the best that we can get at this point from Republicans is like Tom Tillis saying, I felt like the War Powers resolution says in 60 days you have to take some action. We need to start talking with the administration and in cooperation with them to get an authorization for the use of military force so the American people understand the Congress is behind what the president is trying to do. He's one of the critical ones, and all he's saying is, we'll come to them hat in hand and just help the people to know that we support this stupid, unpopular war as much as Donald Trump does. When from my point of view, Cenk, like, if there was ever a reason for the War Powers Act, I mean, there's been a lot of stupid conflicts we've gotten involved with. This one was needless. Okay, there was no reason to go. There was no imminent war or anything. He could have gotten authorization from the Republicans in the Senate and the House. He's just choosing not to. It's wildly expensive. We've already lost Americans. We've killed tons of civilians. He cannot articulate a good reason for us to be in the war. It's wildly expensive. It was unpopular on day one, less popular every day since then. As you have pointed out, I know. It is now less popular than Vietnam or Iraq, which is mind-boggling. If there is ever a call for the Senate to actually like step in, like wiggle a little bit, you know, exert some sort of energy, some sort of power, but they're not. They're allowing him to pursue a stupid, costly, unpopular war, and the best they can do is say, well, maybe we can co-sign a letter with him. They should again, there's a lot that they should do that clearly they're not going to do, and it's very frustrating to see that, as always, other than one or two Republicans, Marjorie Greene, I guess, every other Republican in elected office is an utter sub to Donald Trump, despite how catastrophically unpopular he is. The spell has broken. He should not have a stranglehold on the party or on the movement. Some would say he doesn't, and yet they're still acting as if he does, and it's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, so I think, you know, is he crazy? Well, of course, he's always been crazy. And is he extra level of crazy now? Sure. Yeah. But, like, I still view that as a relative constant. But the reason why I think that he blackmails a very significant possibility is because he clearly doesn't want to continue the war, because at every time that he had an opportunity, as, you know, he does these fake deadlines. I will destroy everyone in Iran and Paraguay at the same time tomorrow at noon, right? And then tomorrow comes and it's 11:55. He's like, I changed my mind. They've conceded. The Paraguayans and the Penguins have conceded. So I will now extend the deadline. And he's done that like 3 times now, right? Okay, fine. The ceasefire is permanent, but not permanent. I will destroy them. Plus, I need more time. Okay? So he doesn't want to re-engage, because the minute you start bombing the oil facilities again, economic calamity ensues. And apparently someone's talked him into that. So he's worried, right? So is it that he's crazy, or is it that he's controlled? Well, a little bit of both, right? and like on the crazy front, the tariffs. He did it again. He, like, oh, the Europeans, I'm mad at them. Plus, the Israelis told me that I have to get out of NATO so they could attack Turkey. So, tariffs are back up to 25%.
This is what my house looks like. And I haven't cleaned it in 3 months.
Ooh.
That's because I have someone come and do it for me twice a month through Home Aglow. Let's talk about how much
Like, but that's why we told you not to elect him. Electing a madman is, no matter how frustrated you are, not a great idea. In charge of the largest military the world has ever seen in the entire country, etc. But bottom line is, for Congress, in what you're talking about, John, look, they're pathetic. I need you guys to get this out of your head. There's almost no one in Congress who's like, what's the right thing to do? Okay, what they look at is the polling, the donors, and then they make a calculation. They are cold, calculating cowards. And they have no morals, they have no principles, they have no guiding philosophy at all. And I swear to you that I'm not exaggerating. So there's about 5% of Congress that does, Bernie Sanders, Thomas Massie, etc. But 95% are like, where's the check? Where's my power? Where is it? Where's my ego? Right? So the only way to move them, and I literally talked to a senator in Washington recently, and he confirmed this. The only thing they care about is fear. Fear of losing their own power. So if you don't throw the bums out, they're never going to do the War Powers Act. They're never going to stop the war. They're never going to do anything but kiss Trump's ass and Israel's ass. So you have to throw out all the incumbents. If you don't do that, then don't complain about Congress. If you haven't gone to your primary and voted against an incumbent, then you had it coming. Because this government is 95% corrupt and will never represent you. So why on God's green earth would you ever vote for any of these guys? No, if you're not voting in the primaries to get them out, then the war will continue and Israel will control the ruler. It will continue to rule us.
Yeah, no, it's you're right. Like the War Powers Act is supposed to get them to do their job, but it can't get them to want to do their job. So only we can do that. And so when you have people that utterly give up their power to the least qualified man in history, when you have a Senate that's filled with geriatrics, like the answer at the end of the day very often is, why have we allowed this? Now, of course, there's money in politics, there's the corrupt media, there's structural protections against, challenges and stuff. There's all of that. But at the end of the day, we still have to want to change to get a change. So I agree with you there.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true. But it does keep you updated on our live shows.
Okay. What's next? What we got next? Ouch. I did not mean to do that. Can I get y'all to get the likes up, please? I'm waiting on y'all to get the likes up. It's 214 people in here.
The U.S. Air Force just bought an
unprecedented destruction. A CNN investigation discovering Iran has caused extensive damage to a majority of the U.S. military sites in the region. Precise Iranian missile and drone strikes, aided by sophisticated Chinese technology, hitting some of America's most crucial military assets in the Middle East. The extent of the damage unknown until now. Our Tamara Kablawi is out front.
Camp Buehring, Kuwait. American soldiers enjoying a karaoke night at one of the biggest U.S. military hubs in the Gulf. That was then. This is now. A once bustling American microcity in the desert, nearly empty and heavily.
They was having karaoke night, getting they sang on.
American soldiers enjoying a karaoke night at one of the biggest U.S. military hubs in the Gulf. That was then. This is now. A once bustling American microcity in the desert, nearly empty and heavily damaged after a weeks-long barrage of Iranian missiles and drones. One of many U.S. military facilities in the oil-rich Arabian Peninsula, targeted by Iran even as the U.S. and Israel pummeled the Islamic Republic's large arsenal. So what impact have Iran's strikes had on America's footprint in the Middle East? A CNN investigation found evidence of unprecedented destruction. We can reveal that strikes damaged at least 16 U.S. installations across 8 countries. According to our analysis and sourcing, that's the majority of American military positions in the region. and some of them are virtually unusable now. A U.S. source familiar with the situation told us that they'd never seen anything like this at American bases, that these were rapid, targeted strikes using advanced technology. Iran's main targets? Multi-million-dollar aircraft, like this Boeing E-3 Sentry, which gave the U.S. a huge amount of visibility over the Gulf. It's out of production, and in today's money, it's worth nearly $500 million. Critical communications equipment. Look at these giant golf balls. They're known as radomes, and they protect satellite dishes vital for data transmission. In this base alone, Iran destroyed all but one of the radomes less than a month into the war. And crucially, radar systems. Highly sophisticated, expensive, difficult to replace, and critical to air defense. A second U.S. source, this one a congressional aide familiar with damage assessments, described these as the most cost-effective of the targets. Our radar systems, they said, are our most expensive and our most limited resource in the region. For U.S. allies in the region, there's a dilemma. In some ways, Iran's show of force makes the U.S.'s presence in the region even more necessary to Gulf security. But there's a new reality here, which is that U.S. military installations, previously seen as formidable fortresses, have turned into sitting targets. As a Saudi source told me, the war has shown Saudi Arabia, that's the U.S.'s longest-standing Arab ally, that the alliance with the U.S. cannot be exclusive, and it is not, in their words, impregnable. To get a sense of just how vulnerable U.S. facilities have become, have a look at this. It's the war room at Qatar's El Udeid Air Base, the theater command and control hub for U.S. air power across 21 nations. Struck not just once, but twice, and according to a U.S. source, causing significant damage. The base had been largely evacuated at this point, and no casualties were reported. Iran's visibility over its war room at Qatar's El Udeid Air Base, the theater command and control hub for U.S. air power across 21 nations. Struck not just once, but twice, and according to a U.S. source, causing significant damage. The base had been largely evacuated at this point, and no casualties were reported. Iran's visibility over its targets has never been clearer. In 2024, according to the Financial Times, Tehran secretly acquired a Chinese satellite, known as the TEE-01B, a massive upgrade from its own satellites. That means that Tehran went from looking at images of this quality to this. This is the first time America has fought an adversary with satellites that capture high-res imagery almost as detailed as its own. As the scale of the damage comes into focus, many will wonder whether America's presence, once a protective shield in the Middle East, has turned into its Achilles heel. Responding to our findings, a Pentagon official said that the Defense Department does not discuss damage assessments, but that U.S. forces remain fully operational with the same readiness and combat effectiveness. We also understand from our sources that the vast majority of U.S. troops evacuated their positions in the Middle East, with many working from the relative safety of hotels and apartments in the Arabian Peninsula.
What stands out to you about all this?
Well, Aaron, what's interesting is that the U.S. intercept rate is likely somewhere in the 95% level right now. These look predominantly like drone strikes. That's our assessment, the Shaheeds that did this rather than Iranian ballistic missiles. But it does show if the intercept rate is somewhere around the 95% level, that 5% or so are getting through and they are having damage. So the system that the U.S. has in place is not foolproof. It's very good, but it's not foolproof. And I would just say, sort of big picture, if your shift to the Indo-Pacific with the PLA, the Chinese People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, U.S. bases across the region, Japan, Philippines, and other places, are going to be at much more severe danger than what we're seeing now in the Middle East.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you talk about with the damage done by the drones, right, that the missile interceptor rate may be, exceptional. 5% can cause huge damage, but then there's the drones. You have done incredible reporting, you and all of CSIS, on the depletion of U.S. Offensive capabilities, missile inventories specifically as well. Trump was asked about that earlier today. Seth, I wanted to play part of what he said.
When you're out here in the elements like this, your body's
I need
under
for y'all to
serious stress.
hit
I
the
take
like
this shot
button.
because it helps my
Double
liver
tap
filter out
the
daily
face of
stressors
your
so I
phone.
don't burn
It's
out by
free.
noon.
It
So
won't
if
charge
you're
you a
feeling sluggish,
thing.
you could have a sluggish liver.
Just like that. If you're listening on your phone device, tap it. Try it. Do that. Two people did it. Come on. I need 10. 10 people to try to double tap the face of their phone. Just touch his nose twice. Bam, bam. 3. Come on. And if you're not on your phone, there's 3 dots at the top right corner. If you touch those 3 dots, it'll take you to the thumbs up. And then tap the thumbs up. Somebody, oh, okay, we're getting close. Let's go. Come on, 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 come on. Come on. I'm gonna do it like I used to do, Scooter. We can do it. You can do it. Come on. Yeah, come on, come on. Come on, baby. Come on.
All over the world we have inventory, and we can take that if we need it. But all over the world we have tremendous amounts of inventory, the best. For instance, we're stocked and locked and loaded. Right now, we have more than double what we had when this started.
More than double what we had when this started, and tremendous amounts of inventory. I mean, what do you even make of such comments? Obviously false when it comes to things like tomahawks, but what do you make overall?
Well, I think what's important is that not all missiles are created equal. I mean, one of the advantages the U.S. had over time in Iran was that it had air dominance. It could use short-range missiles like Joint Direct Attack Munitions, or JDAMs. The problem that the U.S. has in the Pacific right now is it's going to have to use long-range missiles because the Chinese have such extensive capabilities to hit targets in what we call the first and second island chains, like out to Guam. And there, the U.S. stockpiles of long-range munitions, like Tomahawks, like JASSMs, like long-range anti-ship missiles, LRASMs, they are in very limited supply right now, and the same thing with interceptors. So what really matters in this discussion is not missiles per se. It's not helpful to talk about missiles in general. It's the missiles you need to deter in specific situations.
Which I think is just so crucial, and what you lay out there is so important, and it's important for Americans to understand all of this and the truth. Obviously, you know, what he said there is at best extremely misleading about something so important for national security. He also talked today, Seth, about something about Iran, right? What does Iran really have left, okay? The military. And he was very specific. Here he is.
We get the radical left to say, we're not winning. If we're not winning, they don't have any military left. It's unbelievable. It's actually, I believe it's treasonous. Okay, you want to know the truth? It's treasonous.
And he said that Iran they've got nothing left. Okay, you've looked specifically at that, and you found that Iran does still have a lot left when you look at drones, you look at missile launchers.
Yeah, Aaron, I mean, look, there's no question, first of all, that Iran has its capabilities across the boards are degraded. The video you showed of U.S. bases, what the extent of the damage in Iran is much more significant than what U.S. bases have received. Nevertheless, despite that damage, the Iranians have hid stuff underground, so they still have 40% or so, our assessment, of their drone capabilities left, and then maybe 60% or so of their missile launchers. So they do still have the capability to fire missiles and drones, and that makes them still a dangerous adversary. And as you just noted in your reporting, they're getting help from the Chinese, and I would add the Russians as well.
All right.
Okay, where we going next?
Well, the War Powers Act establishes a 60-day deadline during which Congress must either authorize or end military action in Iran. That deadline, that 60 days, is today. But Donald Trump now says his war of choice with Iran has been terminated. because of a ceasefire between Iran and the United States. In a letter to Republican leaders, Donald Trump wrote, quote, "There's been no exchange of fire between United States forces and Iran since April 7th of 2026. The hostilities that began on February 28th, 2026 have terminated," end quote. Now, let's just consider how ridiculous that statement is. That because the ceasefire is holding for now means that the war is over. A ceasefire simply means a pause in fighting. Termination implies the war is over. So that's the president's take for the moment. Yesterday, House Speaker Mike Johnson just blatantly denied that we're even in a war. What war? There's still a U.S. blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Blockades are under international law acts of war. Trump even contradicts himself in the next line of the letter that he sent to Congress when he says, quote, "The threat posed by Iran to the United States and our armed forces remains significant. Accordingly, the Department of War continues to update its force posture," end quote. Okay.
So, Gavin Newsom, I need for y'all to get the likes up. Gavin Newsom posted, "All blacks should register as independent voters. Let them gerrymander that." Again, all blacks should register as independent voters. Let them gerrymander that. I'm like, ooh, that will mess their head up, wouldn't it? That would mess their head up, wouldn't it? Ooh-wee.
So the war is terminated. The threat remains significant. The U.S. continues to update its force posture, but the war is over. Got it? Meanwhile, Axios reports that Donald Trump was briefed yesterday on other possible military options in Iran after he continues to refuse every proposal to actually end the war that Tehran sends
It's
his
just
way.
lying.
Two
Come
sources
Monday,
of knowledge
it'll be
told
back
Axios,
on.
quote, "CENTCOM has prepared a plan for a short and powerful wave of strikes on Iran, likely including infrastructure targets, in the hopes of breaking the negotiating deadlock. Another plan is focused on taking over part of the Strait of Hormuz to reopen it to commercial shipping. Such an operation could include ground forces. Another option is a special forces operation to secure Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium." The longer this war drags on, the more support Donald Trump loses, both from within the Republican Party and with the American people at large. In fact, a new Washington Post poll found that Trump's war in Iran is as unpopular among Americans as the Iraq War was during the year of peak violence in 2006, and the Vietnam War was in the early 1970s. 61% saying it was a mistake for Trump to use our military against Iran. 61% disapproval in 2 months. This is important. The 2-month thing's going to come up again in a minute, so it's important to understand this. It took years for the Iraq and Vietnam wars to become this unpopular, but 60 days in, key Republicans are getting impatient with Donald Trump. This week, Republican Senator Susan Collins voted with Democrats for the first time on a failed vote to end the war. Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski threatened to force a vote to authorize the war in the coming weeks. Even Republican Senator Josh Hawley told the New York Times if Trump doesn't pull U.S. troops out or come up with a legal reason to keep them there, Congress would need to proactively pass legislation authorizing the war. Quote, "And I don't really want to do that because I don't want to open up further conflict," said Mr. Hawley. "I want to wind it down," end quote. So Iran has reportedly sent a new proposal to the United States to negotiate.
Jay Harris, hey, how
Two
Jesus
senior
look at
Iranian
them
officials say
around his
to the New
face.
York Times, quote, "The new proposal removes a previous condition Iran had set
Hello.
that Mr. Trump must first
Please
lift
hit the like
sea
button.
blockade against Iran for negotiators
Diesel,
to
can
meet
I get you
face-to-face.
to hit the like
The proposal
button?
also offers more
I'm
flexibility
sure Jay
on the
Harris and
sequencing
Jordan
of
did.
steps, with Iran willing to first open the Strait of Hormuz, followed by the U.S. announcing the blockade was ending. The proposal still calls for nuclear
But my lights
negotiations
didn't go
to be
up.
postponed for a second phase of talks after a permanent ceasefire.
And whoever
was
took
reached.
their light back, can you go ahead and
Okay, so that's
exit?
what the Iranians said. Here's how Trump responded.
They want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied with it, so we'll see what happens. Iran wants to make a deal because they have no military left, essentially, and they want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied.
course, he didn't specify exactly what he wasn't satisfied with. People familiar with the details tell the Wall Street Journal that Iran has indicated to mediators that it would be ready to sit down for talks in Pakistan by early next week if Washington is open to its new proposal. So that's Iran giving Donald Trump an off-ramp in this war that Donald Trump is stuck in that he won't call a war. The Wall Street Journal reports, quote, Iran is betting that America will crack first and end its blockade of Iranian ports in order to calm global markets and bring down American gasoline prices. U.S. officials are betting that Iran will instead relent because of the deepening economic crisis. So yesterday, the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, admitted to Congress that it could take months or even years to replenish the munition stockpiles that are being depleted by Trump's war on Iran. Our first guest tonight, Democratic Congressman Eugene Vindman, questioned Pete Hegseth when he testified to the House Armed Services Committee on Wednesday about American lives lost in Trump's war.
On March 1st, 6 Army soldiers, including a constituent of mine, were killed by an Iranian drone strike. Do you take any responsibility for those deaths?
I was there at Dover when they came back. Of course, I take responsibility for every aspect.
Well, I appreciate that, because you also complain about the fact that tragic things happen. The news makes it front-page news. The press only wants to make the president look bad. Is it about the soldiers, or is it about the president looking bad?
It's not just the president who wants, the media that wants to make him look bad. It's you.
It's actually about the soldiers, and it's frankly reprehensible that you would make that statement.
I actually got kicked out of my parents' house before I even
wow.
graduated high school.
So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how long were you dealing with this?
Probably when I was about...
Joining us now is the Democratic Congressman Eugene Vindman of Virginia. He's a member of the Armed Services Committee. He's a retired Army colonel. I remember when Pete Hegseth was in the Pentagon briefing room and he said that he said, you know, why do you guys always go for these headlines that make the president look bad? This was after soldiers were killed in a war that they won't call a war, that they won't ask Congress permission to fight, and they won't justify why it's happening or how it's going to end. I think the point you brought up was key. People have died. Innocent people have died, whether they are U.S. members of the U.S. military or civilians on the ground all across the region who had nothing to do with this war.
Absolutely. Look, the statement that the secretary made during that press conference was shameful. It was dishonorable. It was disgusting. And I gave him an opportunity to take it back, and he doubled down. I mean, for him, he's got an audience of one. He's got to please the president. And the cavalier attitude that he and the president have displayed to American casualties and the deaths in this war, and frankly, the 400 or so that have been wounded is unacceptable. That is, those lives are permanently injured. The families, I've met the families, I met the children that had lost parents, the parents that had lost children, and just unacceptable behavior.
So when one of your colleagues suggested that the U.S. might have gotten himself into a bit of a quagmire here, which happens, he thought that was insulting. Hegseth said it's 2 months in to call this a quagmire or fighting this war. But it's an insult to the troops to send them into wars without any valid justification.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a job to do. We represent constituencies. In my case, I represent 3 military installations, 72,000 veterans, nearly 20,000 active duty service members, and it is my job to ask the tough questions about how we ended up in a war without a plan, and what is our plan on getting out of this war. And the secretary, frankly, did not have a plan. And right now, this preposterous statement saying that the ceasefire is the termination of the conflict is just absolute nonsense. A ceasefire is just that, cease firing. It's a temporary pause to bombing, shooting, and fighting. The president and the secretary owe it to the American people and owe it to Congress to come with a plan on how we actually exit a conflict where the status quo before would be, frankly, a dream. You know, the Iranians control the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices have skyrocketed. The American people are paying the price for this war.
So there's a lot of trickery going on because they really haven't called it a war. They've not gone to Congress to ask permission for this. Now Donald Trump says, he used the term, the war has been terminated because of the ceasefire. The idea here is not simply that Congress may not give Donald Trump permission to conduct this war. It might not. It's going to be close one way or the other. It's that the president seems to be making the point that I don't really have to get your approval to go to war.
Well, he's done that repeatedly. I mean, this is sort of the 8th conflict, twice now in Iran, that we've been engaged in conflict. And the president has not sought congressional approval for any of these. And he's gotten basically a blank check, a rubber stamp from the Republican-led House of Representatives and the Senate. And he doesn't feel like he has a need, has an obligation to take this to the American people or Congress. And that is why this war is so unpopular. 2 months in, obviously the American people are paying higher gas prices and you know, there's significant inflation. But I'll tell you, one of the reasons is the president never laid out the case of why we need to fight now in Iran. And that's showing in the approval.
And there are a lot of experts who are involved in this who say there was more space on the diplomatic front, there was more space on the sanctions front, there was a lot more to do. The idea of choosing war when you have other options is a difficult and complicated one, and it doesn't seem to make sense. And Pete Hegseth couldn't seem to make it make sense in his performance before Congress this week.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he struggled to make the case. He claimed repeatedly that, you know, imagine Iran with a nuclear weapon. Well, guess what? Iran does not have a nuclear weapon.
Correct.
Iran has not demonstrated a desire to get a nuclear weapon. In fact, there was a fatwa issued by the previous Ayatollah prohibiting a nuclear weapon. The assessments were that there was no nuclear weapon. Now, obviously, that would be an unacceptable outcome, but it is an absolute fabrication to claim that they were on the verge of a nuclear weapon, especially 8 or 9 months now, or I guess a little bit more, since we obliterated
it, yes.
ability last year. It's outrageous. It's nonsensical.
And they both make the point that a nuclear weapon on a missile that can hit America, also that they don't have. So at some point, whatever this is, we call it a war or not, it's built on a house of cards. Congressman, good to see you as always. Thank you. Congressman Eugene Vindman of Virginia.
Okay, where we going next, y'all? Where we going next? I know y'all need to get these likes up. I'm going an hour and 43 minutes at almost 1 in the morning. Double tap. I already kicked out somebody. I ain't even say nothing. I just let them go. Your services over here, your privilege over here is no longer welcome. Sure did. We prayed. We let the young man pray over us before we started. I was not going to allow someone to disrupt my spirit. So I just removed them with that foolishness. So y'all, come on, hit the like button now. Hey, Cooper. Did you bless us with the like coming in, Cooper? Cooper. Hey, Mr. Cooper. Y'all remember that show a long time ago? Hey, Mr. Cooper, something like that. Okay, let's go. Did I do it right? Hey, hot chocolate. How we doing? I need for y'all to like, share, and subscribe. Support the platform if you can. My Cash App is $AUNTEAFEE. Okay, let's get back over there. I had to share to somebody. Okay, so where are we going next? What did I eat? That's throwing my voice off. Ooh, excuse me. Eric Trump making millions off the war.
Life. The whole world holds its breath. Now look, when a president of the United States decides to step up to a podium, especially for the first time after someone nearly took his life,
Hello.
the whole world
Magic.
holds its breath. And I mean that sincerely. I've been on that stage. I know what it feels like
I need for y'all to get the likes up.
Of 280 million souls on your shoulders.
Shout out to Canada.
Rolling. Now look, when a president of the United States decides to step up to a podium, especially for the first time after someone nearly took his life, the whole world holds its breath. And I mean that sincerely. I've been on that stage. I know what it feels like to carry the weight of 280 million souls on your shoulders while the cameras are rolling. On May the 1st, 2026, Donald Trump stood up in a gymnasium at the Villages Charter School in Florida. And what the country witnessed over 90 minutes wasn't the reassuring, steady presence of a commander-in-chief returning from danger. It wasn't a message of unity or resolve. What we got instead, and I say this with no pleasure, was something deeply troubling. We saw a 79-year-old president insist he's not a senior citizen to a room full of seniors. We saw him grunt and moan and act out bizarre scenarios on stage. We saw hands caked in makeup trying to hide something his body seems to be telling us. And we heard him call the healthcare information that keeps his audience alive, and I'm quoting now, boring medical crap. But here's what most folks watching at home didn't see. Just hours before that speech, Trump sent a letter to Congress, a short letter, maybe a page and a half, declaring that hostilities with Iran have terminated. Now that might sound like good news, but let me tell you something, it isn't. Because American warships are still in the Persian Gulf. A naval blockade continues, and a ceasefire that the Pentagon itself calls shaky is the only thread holding this together. That letter wasn't about peace, it was about avoiding the law. And we'll come back to that because that might be the most dangerous thing that happened all day. By May 1, 2026, the United States had been engaged in military operations against Iran for over 60 days. Trump launched strikes on February 28th without congressional authorization. He told the American people it would take a few weeks. 2 months later, Iran still controls the Strait of Hormuz. Our Navy is running a blockade. Gas prices are above $4 a gallon, the highest in nearly 4 years. Inflation is running at a 3-year high, and Trump's approval rating has dropped to 34%, according to Reuters Ipsos. That matches the lowest point of his entire political career. Now, I want to be fair here. When I was president, I made difficult military decisions too. Kosovo wasn't popular with everybody. But here's what I did. I worked with Congress. I kept them informed. I respected the process even when it was politically painful, because that process is what separates a democracy from a dictatorship. The War Powers Resolution of 1973 exists for one reason: to make sure no single person, no matter how powerful, can take this nation to war alone. It says the president has 60 days. After that, you go to Congress and you make your case. May 1st was that deadline. And instead of making his case, Trump sent a letter saying the war is over while the war continues. Senator Susan Collins, the Republican, said it plainly. The 60-day deadline is not a suggestion. It is a requirement. Senator Blumenthal said there's no pause button in the Constitution. And Congressman Adam Smith, when asked if he expected the administration to follow the law, said, and this broke my heart, I do not have that expectation. That's where we are, folks. Members of Congress from both parties openly acknowledging that the President of the United States does not feel bound by the law. And that should concern every single American, regardless of party. Now let me walk you through what the country actually witnessed on that stage in Florida. And I want to take this piece by piece, because each one of these moments tells you something important about where we are as a nation. First, and this is the most constitutionally dangerous part, Trump bypassed Congress on the Iran war. His letter claims hostilities terminated. But in that same letter, he admits the threat from Iran remains significant. U.S. forces remain deployed. The blockade continues. Defense Secretary Hegseth told Congress the clock pauses during a ceasefire. But there is no legal basis for that whatsoever. The War Powers Act doesn't have a pause button. This is the president redefining the meaning of war itself to avoid accountability. And if we let this stand, the precedent is permanent. The next president, Democrat or Republican, will wage war whenever they want, for as long as they want, and simply declare it over on paper when the deadline arrives.
I didn't hear about Jamaica.
Second, Trump has called criticism of this war treasonous. The New York Times reported it. The Guardian confirmed it. He has pushed for charges against journalists covering the conflict honestly. And on the same day, Admiral William McRaven, the man who oversaw the raid that killed Osama bin Laden, said publicly, "We've never bombed our way to victory." When a president calls dissent treason, that is the language of authoritarianism. I don't use that word lightly. Third, the economics. Trump told that room of seniors he's brought more than $18 trillion into this country. The Cato Institute, not a liberal organization, called it Trump's $18 trillion hoax. GDP grew only 2% in the first quarter, below estimates. Gas is over $4. Inflation is surging. And that Social Security tax cut he bragged about, nonpartisan analysis shows it created a deduction worth about $670 a year for fewer than half of recipients. He told seniors he eliminated the tax. He didn't. Let me tell you something from experience. Being president is not a performance. It's not entertainment. It is every single day. the heaviest responsibility any human being can carry in public life. And what that responsibility demands, above all else, is honesty, discipline, and the humility to remember that you serve the people. They don't serve you. On May 1st, Donald Trump had a choice. He could have used that platform to level with seniors about the state of the economy. He could have explained honestly what this war with Iran is costing and why he believes it's worth the sacrifice. He could have addressed the real concerns about his health with transparency, the way the public deserves. Instead, he attacked the Federal Reserve Chairman, calling Jerome Powell really bad and stupid. Now, I had disagreements with my Fed chair too. Every president does. But I never, not once, publicly attacked the independence of the Federal Reserve, because I understood that the moment markets believe the president controls monetary policy, confidence collapses. And confidence is the only thing holding this economy together right now. He brought Dr. Phil on stage to tell seniors, you matter and you're important to this president. Now look, I like a good TV personality as much as anyone, but when you substitute celebrity endorsement for actual policy substance, you're not governing, you're performing. And that performance came moments after he called Dr. Oz's Medicare briefings the most boring trip I've ever made, and referred to healthcare information as boring medical crap. He said that to seniors, people whose lives depend on Medicare and Medicaid, people who deserve a president who takes their survival seriously. And then there's the War Powers letter, the single most consequential decision of the entire day, made quietly behind the curtain while the spectacle distracted everyone. That's not leadership, that's misdirection. Here's the honest truth about democratic institutions. They're not buildings, they're not statues, they're agreements, promises we make to each other about how power will be shared and checked. And when a president breaks those agreements, he doesn't just damage his own credibility, he damages the system for everyone who comes after him. Let me count the ways this one event eroded our institutions. First, Congress is being stripped of its war-making authority. If a president can simply declare a war over while it continues, while ships are deployed, while a blockade chokes global shipping, then the War Powers Act is dead. And that means the people's representatives have no say in whether your children go to fight and die. Second, calling criticism treason chills the free press. Journalists are already being threatened with charges for covering this war honestly. When the president declares that reporting facts is a crime, he's not just attacking the media, he's attacking your right to know. Third, attacking the Federal Reserve undermines the economy itself. Markets depend on the belief that monetary policy is made by experts, not politicians. When Trump calls Powell stupid and a numbskull, he's telling the world that no American institution is safe from political interference. Fourth, hiding health information from the public. Both of Trump's hands have been repeatedly photographed, covered in heavy concealer to disguise what appears to be severe bruising. This has been documented by NBC News, The Daily Beast, Yahoo News, and The Independent over multiple months. A president making daily decisions about war and peace owes the public transparency about his physical condition. The 25th Amendment exists because this matters. And fifth, using a presidential platform for self-aggrandizement rather than governance. Schools were literally canceled so this event could happen. The Village's charter schools, K through 12, the Autism Center, early childhood centers, all closed. Children sent home with online assignments so a president could dance the YMCA and brag about passing a dementia screening test. Think about that. Think about what that says about our priorities. Now, I've been reading political maps for over 40 years, and let me tell you what I see here. Trump is at 34% nationally. Reuters confirms it. He's underwater even in Florida, a state he won handily. Republicans face brutal midterm elections in November. And this speech, this event, just handed Democrats the most devastating campaign material they could ask for. That clip of Trump calling Medicare boring medical crap will appear in every single Democratic ad targeting senior voters from now until November. Every single one.
Why he bragging about
and
all?
it should. Because it reveals in his own words how this president actually feels about the programs that keep 65 million Americans alive. The school closure becomes a symbol. Education sacrificed for spectacle. The war powers violation gives Democrats a constitutional argument that transcends partisanship. And the visible health concerns, the concealed bruising, the rambling, the grunting, the insistence at 79 that he's not a senior, all of this builds a cumulative picture that voters cannot unsee. But let me say something to my own party too, because I've watched Democrats lose elections they should have won by simply being against things without offering something better. You cannot just react. You've got to have a vision. When I ran in 1992, I didn't just say George H.W. Bush was wrong. I said, here's what I'll do differently. Here's how competent, empathetic governance will improve your actual life. Democrats need to run on three things. Bring gas prices down by ending this unnecessary war responsibly. Protect Medicare and Social Security with real legislation, not performance. And restore the rule of law so that no president of either party can wage war without the people's consent. That's the winning message. That's how you earn trust. We've got to look ahead now, because what happened on May 1st isn't just a news cycle. It's a turning point, and the road ahead branches in several directions. If Congress continues to abdicate its war authority, if Republicans keep deferring and Democrats keep losing procedural votes, this precedent becomes permanent, not just for Trump, for every president who follows. The next time a Democratic president decides to strike somewhere without asking Congress, Republicans will scream, but the president will already be set. Trump said it, and a compliant Congress let him. If this president's health continues to decline visibly, and listen, I take no pleasure in discussing another man's body, but the pattern is there. The bruising covered in makeup month after month. the cognitive wandering, the grunting, the 90-minute rambles. At some point, the 25th Amendment conversation becomes unavoidable. And it needs to be an honest, bipartisan conversation, not a political weapon. An honest assessment of whether the person making war decisions every day is capable of doing so.
Right.
If the Iran war continues without authorization and without a clear strategy, Admiral McCraven's warning becomes prophecy. We've never bombed our way to victory. He said that. The man who got bin Laden said that. And if gas stays above $4, and the Joint Economic Committee says Americans have already paid $16 billion more at the pump because of this war, no amount of YMCA dancing at the villages will save Republican candidates in November. And if Democrats win the House in the midterms, subpoena power changes everything. Health records, war planning documents, economic data. The machinery of oversight comes back to life. That's why this moment matters, not just for today, but for the next 2 years and beyond. Let me close with this. I've been around long enough to see this country tested in ways that made people wonder whether we'd come through. I've seen economic crises and constitutional confrontations and moments when the fabric of our democracy felt thin. And every time, every single time, we came through. But never by accident, never because someone else fixed it for us. We came through because citizens paid attention, engaged, voted, spoke out, and demanded that their leaders answer to them. What happened on May 1, 2026 was not a senior policy event. It was a spectacle designed to distract from an unconstitutional war, a struggling economy, and a president whose capacity to lead is visibly and publicly in question. Trump attacked Obama with a racial insinuation about cognitive tests, singling him out, not Biden, and bragged about identifying a bear in a picture as proof of genius. He declared that opposing him is a mental illness, Trump derangement syndrome,
Wow.
and said they'd register it as an official disease next week. He told seniors he's much younger than them while turning 80 in 6 weeks. And through it all, schools sat empty,
Just lying.
children studied on laptops at home, and the War Powers Act, the law that's supposed to prevent one man from dragging this country into war alone, was trampled by a one-page letter and a shrug. But here's what I believe with all my heart. The American people are smarter than any performance. They see through spectacle. They know when they're being lied to about gas prices and economic growth. They know when a president cares more about dancing than governing. And come November, they'll have a chance to send a message. Democracy isn't something we inherit. It's something we earn. Every generation, every election, every time we choose accountability over entertainment. I still believe in this country. I still believe in its people. And I believe that when the American people decide they've had enough, no amount of makeup on anyone's hands or anyone's record can hide the truth. Thank you.
Oh, what just happened? Hold on.
You're using baking soda wrong, and your groceries are paying the price. That box absorbs smells for 4 days, then it's done. Meanwhile, the real source of the smell...
Folks, pull up a chair. I want to talk with you today the way I used to talk with the country from the Oval Office when something serious was happening.
Hold on.
Not to alarm you, but to level with you. Here's the honest truth. When a man like Admiral William McRaven, the Navy SEAL who planned and oversaw the raid that brought Osama bin Laden to justice back in May of 2011, when that man steps in front of a microphone and reminds the men and women in uniform about the difference between a lawful order and an unlawful one, you need to listen. That is not political theater. That is a flare going up over the Republic. Now look, I've known officers like Bill McRaven my whole adult life. They don't speak out lightly. They don't crave the cameras. When they do, it's because the institution they've given their lives to is under stress, and they believe the country deserves to know. We'll come back to exactly what he said in a moment, because the precise words matter. But first, I want you to understand what this story is really about. It isn't about one man in the White House or one admiral at a podium. It's about whether the guardrails our founders built into this democracy, the chain of command, the rule of law, the oath to the Constitution, still hold when they're tested. Today, they're being tested. Let's walk through it together.
Definitely being
Now let me
tested.
set the table for you, because you can't understand the warning without understanding the moment. The country is in the middle of a tense military confrontation with Iran. The Strait of Hormuz, that narrow piece of water where roughly a fifth of the world's oil passes through every single day, has spiraled into a crisis. Energy prices are climbing. Working families are feeling it at the pump and at the grocery store. And inside the White House, the president has been using language like no quarter, no mercy, floating ground operations, and at times suggesting strikes on civilian bridges and power stations. We've got to remember something. Words from the Oval Office aren't just words. They travel down the chain of command like electricity through a wire. I learned that the hard way in Bosnia in '95, in Kosovo in '99, when we hit Saddam in Operation Desert Fox in December of '98. Every syllable a commander-in-chief speaks gets translated into orders, into target lists, into young Americans climbing into cockpits. That's why serious presidents weigh their words. That's why we picked our targets one by one, with lawyers, with generals, with allies in the room. Not because we were timid, but because once you cross certain lines, you cannot uncross them. And this is where things start to get complicated, because the rhetoric coming out of this White House isn't just loose. It's pointing toward orders that the law of armed conflict may not permit. That's the world Admiral McRaven was speaking into. Let me tell you what the Admiral actually said in plain English so nobody can twist it. McRaven told American service members two things side by side. First, you have an obligation to follow legal orders. That's the foundation of military discipline. Nobody's questioning it. But second, you have an equal obligation not to follow illegal ones. That's not McRaven's opinion. That is settled American military law, going back to Nuremberg, codified in the Uniform Code of Military Justice, taught at every service academy in this country. He pointed specifically to the president's no quarter, no mercy rhetoric, and to the talk of bombing civilian bridges and power stations. Under the Geneva Conventions and the law of armed conflict, deliberately targeting civilian infrastructure with no military necessity can constitute a war crime, period. The young captain or major who carries out that order doesn't get to hide behind, "I was told to." And here's the part that should make every American sit up straight. McRaven confirmed those conversations are happening right now between senior military officers and the Secretary of Defense. Not in some hypothetical seminar, in real rooms about real targets. Now look, I'm not presenting that as accusation. I'm presenting it as fact. And the truth is, this is exactly how the system is supposed to work, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's painful. The uniform isn't loyal to a person, it's loyal to the Constitution. Now let's talk strategy, because this is where leadership really gets tested. McRaven made 3 points that every commander-in-chief since Eisenhower has had to grapple with. 1, Iran is 2.5 times the size of Texas. 2, we have never, not once in our history, bombed our way to victory. 3, even if you remove the supreme leader, Israeli intelligence suggests the next regime could be more hardline, not less. Those aren't partisan talking points. Those are lessons paid for in American blood. I wrestled with them myself when I chose restraint over ground troops in places where the strategic objective wasn't clear. And then there's the Hormuz trap. We'll come back to why this matters so much. Closing that strait was the most predictable move on Iran's chessboard. Every war game in the Pentagon for 30 years has run that scenario. Yet according to McRaven, we came in essentially too late. That's not bad luck. That's a planning failure. Here's where it gets sobering. General Wesley Clark, former NATO Supreme Commander, has reported that our Tomahawk inventory has fallen below 50%. We've burned through roughly 1/3 of our ballistic missile intercept capacity. Nearly half our THAAD interceptors are gone. Those weapons take years to replace. When you spin the covered bear without a clear end game, that's not strength. That's strategic overreach. And it leaves America exposed in every other corner of the world. Now we come to the heart of it. And I want you to listen closely, because this is the part that outlasts any single president. In the last year, roughly 30 general officers have been fired or forced out. 30. Let that sink in. McRaven called it a cascading effect on morale. Senior officers now afraid to speak truth to power, afraid to walk into the Oval Office and say, "Mr. President, I respectfully disagree."
A needle-free filler that erases marionette lines in just 21 days? Why is this such a big secret?
Let me tell you something from my own time. I served with General Shalikashvili, with General Hugh Shelton, with Colin Powell before them. There were days those men told me things I did not want to hear. And thank God they did. Because a president who only hears what he wants to hear makes worse decisions every single time. That's not Democratic wisdom or Republican wisdom. That's American wisdom, older than either party. When you purge the officer corps for honesty, you don't get loyalty. You get silence. and silence at the top of the Pentagon is how nations stumble into wars they can't win. McRaven also raised something close to my heart, the dismantling of USAID. He called it vital to America's soft power, and he's right. After the 2004 tsunami, after Haiti's earthquake, our military and our aid workers built friendships that paid us back tenfold. Compassion isn't woke, it's strategy. It's how America wins without firing a shot. I saw it work in Northern Ireland, in the Balkans, in Haiti. We're throwing that inheritance away.
Wow.
Here's the honest truth about alliances. You cannot run a coalition by surprise and a couple of tweets. General Clark put it plainly. NATO partners are democracies. They answer to parliaments, to voters, to public opinion. They aren't the 51st through 80th American states. They are sovereign countries with their own constituencies, their own histories, their own red lines. When you launch an operation nobody heard about, and then expect London and Paris and Berlin to jump on board the next morning, that isn't leadership. That's improvisation dressed up as strategy. Now look, I lived this. When we built the Dayton Accords in '95 to end the war in Bosnia, when we assembled the Kosovo Coalition in '99, that was phone calls at midnight. It was sharing intelligence we didn't have to share. It was treating the Brits and the French and the Germans like partners, not like employees. It took patience. It took trust. And trust, my friends, is the most expensive thing in foreign policy because it takes a generation to build and a single morning to burn.
If you need to visit the bathroom multiple times at night, this can be used as a meal replacement. This product is a fig bar with black sesame and cranberry flavor with not a single drop of...
Clark says the British and the French are still coming along, but only through proper NATO channels, not through Twitter announcements. That's a small mercy, and we should be grateful for it. But understand this, America has always rested on two pillars, our military and our credibility. You can rebuild a missile stockpile in 3 or 4 years. You cannot rebuild credibility that fast, not even close. So where does this road lead? Let me lay out 3 forks for you plainly.
Let's go.
The first is the strategic fork. Professor Robert Pape at the University of Chicago, a serious scholar, not a partisan, warns that Iran is now likely laying the groundwork for nuclear weapons over the next year or so. They're working with Pakistan, who helped them with centrifuges before. They're working with Russia. Pape's chilling line, Iran is working with its allies better than we are working with ours. Think about that. The very thing the strikes were meant to prevent may have been accelerated. The second is the constitutional fork. If illegal orders are issued and officers either follow them or are punished for refusing, we enter territory this republic has not seriously visited before, not since the founding. And that's not hyperbole. That's the warning every constitutional scholar I respect is sounding right now. The third is the economic fork. A closed Strait of Hormuz crushes global energy markets. It crushes household budgets in Akron and Phoenix and Little Rock. McRaven himself said the world economy only picks back up when that strait reopens. And Iran has offered a deal. Lift the blockade, open the strait. That deserves serious consideration, not a tweet. Each fork is still avoidable, but only only with course correction. And course correction requires honesty at the top. So let me close with this, friend to friend. This isn't about left or right. It never was. It's about whether the institutions our founders built, imperfect, stubborn, beautiful institutions, still function the way they were meant to. The military takes an oath to the Constitution, not to any one man. That sentence is the whole ballgame. The Congress, not the President, holds the power to declare war. Article 1, Section 8, plain as day. The press has a duty to ask hard questions, even when it's unpopular. And we, the citizens, have a duty to pay attention, not just on Election Day, every day. Admiral McCraven did his duty when he stood up and reminded our service members what the law requires. General Clark did his when he told the truth about our depleted readiness. Professor Pape did his when he warned us where this is heading. Now it falls to the rest of us to do ours. Here's what I want you to take away. America has corrected course before. We did it after Vietnam. We did it after Watergate. We did it after the financial collapse in 2008. We are not a country that breaks easily. We are a country that bends and remembers and rises. We've still got time. We've still got each other. And we've still got a Constitution that has outlasted every storm thrown at it for 250 years. Take care of yourselves. Take care of this country. God bless you, and God bless America.
This is Honey.
Okay, y'all, it's time for me to go to sleep. Y'all have a good night. If you did not hit the like button coming in, can you please hit it going out? Like it, share it, subscribe to the Tea Palace. If you would be so kind as to support the platform, since I've been demonetized for telling the truth, providing the true tea, you can do so by way of Cash App, $AUNTEAFEE. Thank you kindly, and good night.